Three minutes after 8 o'clock, top of the morning to everyone. Welcome to Island Tea. We got our girl Kortensia on deck.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are we doing?
We doing good?
Oh, nice. I hope everyone in the diaspora, both international and regional, are doing well today.
My day is made, she hasn't even been here in 5 minutes.
Wonderful morning to everybody. I am just listening. I realized you had this long introduction, like the music was like playing like long, and it reminds me when you're on the plane and you're waiting for the plane to be the next one. Sometimes you're on busy airlines and it's just the engine just running on the plane. You're just sitting there and you're waiting to be the next one in line to taxi off
Azard seems like he's ready for vacation.
Yeah,
perhaps. I think it might have been that too.
I don't know if my uniform's packed up this morning, but, oh boy.
But I do see that there are sales from JetBlue from one way from New York to St. Kitts, and it's on I think about what, 150 USD about.
Yeah.
What?
I'm telling you, Jamster.
So Jamster Azard has it on his mind to be going somewhere. Cheap. Yeah,
they have a sale aside.
So it's JetBlue one way from JFK to SKB 149 US, all in, inclusive of all taxes and fee, and you must book between the 16th to the 18th of July 2024 for travel from the 15th of August to the 8th September 2024. So it's just a little special.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember somebody saying when they saw, well, I'm just observing on the Facebook wall, the comments and everything. And someone was like, tell me how come it's cheaper to go to the US one way than the Caribbean,
That's always been the struggle.
But let me ask if
That's always been the struggle.
Let me ask if there's a catch. Does it mean that if you, say you came down and you're going back? Because that seems to favor people who happen to have gone up there and paid $2,000 and then they're coming back and it's like, oh, $150 a sale to go back home, whatever.
But most people, you don't think most people buy two ways?
I was thinking that. But then, if you want to go back, would you get the same rate?
Well, I guess they can't say you can't get that rate.
The thing about it, I was looking at
I guess advertising it the one way makes it sound even more attractive than saying $300, right?
And it's
but still $300 sounds pretty good too, right?
Yeah, because realistically, if you're traveling to the States, you have to book a return.
Especially if you're not from there. Let's clear it.
Yeah, if you're not from there.
Who have status.
So people like me, if we're traveling to the States, if I'm traveling to the States, of course, they're going to ask when you reach the immigration, your return ticket, when you're leaving. So basically,
even before you,
you really have to book.
To the desk, we need a return date because we can't travel. You can't send me on a one way. Very well.
Well,
not
I
from
always
there.
have my return, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But I know the acts,
Yeah, we have to
especially when
check.
you reach over there.
Yeah.
So when you leave, what's okay? What you here for? When you leaving, you know.
Mm.
So, chances are, if you're there already as a Kititian, you already have your flight booked. It caters more so to persons who haven't booked yet, and persons who might be in the U.S. and U.S. citizens or otherwise,
I mean,
and
yeah.
want to
Come
come to
home.
St. Kitts.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're trying to encourage persons to come home for the summer. And too with mango, with every mango
Oh, it's
festival.
finished. Yeah.
The mango festival is still on my mind. You know, I went last
Yeah.
year and I didn't get to go this year, but I see that it looked like it went over
Yeah.
well. They have Culturama, so I guess
Mhm.
they are working on all of that to get people
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we had Noah on
Yes.
for the last few
Yeah.
minutes yesterday.
I was
He
trying to
kinda-
listen to you guys, but it was kind
Yeah.
of busy, so I couldn't listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because
he gave a postmortem.
Mhm.
And he said, he didn't. I was I was gonna ask him. I said, "No, give me the unvarnished, candid truth. Did everything work out? I mean,
yes.
I guess he's probably gonna leave that for next year and say, well,
But
last
to be
year
honest,
this-
I haven't, and the social media usually reports. I haven't.
Oh yes, the fact that it didn't report. Did you see what they did last year?
Last year
They
there were so many
reported.
bad reviews.
Mhm.
So many bad
Yeah.
reviews last year on the social
Oh,
media.
and there were none this
Azard
year.
just hit
And
the correct.
Oh,
I
good
haven't seen.
Good
I haven't
point.
even seen anyone complain about
Good point, good
something.
point.
Yeah. And the crowd, I was looking at, as you said, social media,
Yes.
so the crowd looked just as big as last year.
Mhm.
And last year, food ran out. And it
Food
was
ran
hot,
out.
and people were complaining. People gave it a 0.1 out of 10.
Wow,
It was bad.
Point
So to
one out
see-
of 10.
So
Oh
to
my
see
God.
that this year,
Savage.
very so.
I actually saw
Yeah.
someone put up on, I think it's his WhatsApp status. First time, it's the first time that samples made him full.
Oh,
full on
nice,
samples,
nice.
and it shows the quantity
Mhm.
of food that they had.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen anything.
No,
Any
nothing.
bad reviews.
That's a good
Nothing.
sign,
Yeah,
probably.
that's a good
Yeah,
sign.
so for 10, that's good that Fiona and company learned from the 9th year and the little errors that were there. So kudos
Yeah.
to you, Fiona, and your group for doing so excellent because as I said, last year social media blasted. This year social media is quiet. So
Yes.
you would have exceeded and I guess ensure that their expectations were met this year.
And this morning on the news, Yolanda reported on the report the winning recipes. I think the Nevis team won. Nevis chef team won.
Oh boy.
So I actually was tempted to WhatsApp her this morning and say, "Oh, you turn into a food critic now," because when you're reading those.
Also, she gave the details
Yeah.
and everything.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mm.
because when you're reading those like ingredients and recipe, it sounds like you're in a this fancy restaurant. Right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
dried
must
shrimp, avocado.
definitely, God spare life. I definitely have to make it over for the 11th. Based and because you wonder because you heard the 9th and then you wonder and then you kind of okay, is it going to be
Yeah, but it was
yeah, and
I'm happy for
mango.
her.
I love mango. That's one of my favorite. So I could imagine all the. And then what I saw from the statuses and people on Facebook walls and stuff like that is it seemed not just to be in one location, but it seemed like other avenues, maybe hotels also might have participated in giving you that whole mango atmosphere in terms of food and the lights and stuff like that.
Or like perhaps adding
Yeah.
a
They had
mango,
drinks
a
because they
mango
had a
dish
bar
or drink.
crawl and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you could have bought your ticket for that bar crawl, and the bars that they featured had to make something with mango.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys are really making me think about food at this time, and restaurant week is coming up.
Yeah. just
You
now.
understand? Yeah, and I think
What's the featured ingredient?
I
Let me-
think
let
the
me make sure I say-
featured ingredient, if I'm not mistaken, and I always have to say that unless I'm certain, because I think I saw something that says it's papaya. I think I saw papaya, so you could do the
you may
little
be correct,
yeah.
but I'm gonna make
Yeah,
sure.
just
Papaya?
confirm.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not really my favorite fruit, but
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna taste.
yeah, I wonder how
But-
it's gonna go.
But the possibilities are kind of endless, and because
Mhm.
green papaya is used a tenderizer.
Mm.
In fact, an
People
ingredient
put it in
from it,
soup.
yeah,
Yeah.
an ingredient from papaya goes into meat tenderizer. The meat tenderizer crystals that
Yeah.
you buy. Yeah.
Okay.
You are correct. Papaya.
Yeah, that stood out to me. I saw it maybe a couple days ago, and it stood out to me. I was like, okay.
It actually starts, Restaurant Week starts on Friday.
Which Friday?
This one, July the 11th to the 21st.
Oh, the tasting. I think they have some tasting at Echo Park.
That's day after tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they have the
Yeah,
samples, the
Friday.
tasting samples.
It's Thursday.
Papaya should be interesting.
Wait, it's Thursday. Yeah, what am
Yeah,
I thinking?
Thursday.
That's
Today's
it.
the
Mhm.
9th.
That's
Yeah,
it.
the 11th.
That's what I'm saying.
The 11th.
That's the test, the taste test, the
No,
sample.
it just says it starts.
Okay, I know
The
that
week
there's some
starts.
tickets going
But I don't know
some
what it
ad
starts
about
with.
tickets. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, papaya for me, I mean, for me is an acquired taste because it doesn't really have that. Yeah, I've seen people who enjoy papaya,
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, it's not like, mango or,
Yeah.
sweet
Because if you bite the
potato.
seeds, my God,
Yeah.
it's putrid.
Yeah. So it should be interesting.
Yeah,
It should be interesting.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I got papaya cheesecake. I'm sure somebody's gonna come up with that as a dessert.
Yeah.
No.
I could imagine. I could imagine maybe the green papaya being used to do some kind of interesting meat dish. Maybe some kind of meat that tends to be tough or something, and then maybe doing.
Jamsa,
But I wonder-
maybe you should participate in Restaurant Week.
That
You know.
sound like a chef, yeah. So you
But
had sounded like a chef,
but
although
they-
I know you have chef skills.
There was a time. There was a time when I
When you
used to-
thought about it?
No.
Oh.
No. I mean, when
I just
no, I'm not studying y'all. There was a period a few years ago when I was buying. Somehow the turkey we were getting was very tough,
Yes.
and so I used to have to go down the road by a neighbor to get papaya,
Okay.
a green papaya,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would also do it really, slow cook it.
Yes.
Cut up maybe half the papaya in there, and that would tenderize it and stuff. But for some reason now, which is good, the turkey is I haven't done that in years, so that's good.
Yes.
But it's gonna be interesting because you probably if someone, a chef, let's say a chef used a green papaya to tenderize something, the judges might argue, well, yeah, you may have used green papaya, but how we're not we're not seeing it. It's not something obvious to the when you plate it and everything. It's not going to be something obvious. So I imagine most people will probably just use the right papaya and do a lot of different stuff.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
We could get drink. We can get cheesecake. What else we can do with papaya? Smoothie.
Smoothie, yeah.
What else?
That should be an interesting.
Cake.
Yeah, you could do the smoothie.
I don't.
I-
A green papaya salad.
Yeah, I've seen that. But
What else can we use it for?
A soup?
The green one in the
No.
soup. Yeah.
I
They
bet-
put the green one in soup.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm going to let you persons.
that's
I am
hard.
just. I'm an.
Let's let this-
I'm going to let the chefs
Yeah.
think about what
I
they're
feel
going to
like-
do. I'm an expert taster. You understand? So if there are persons out there who
I could be wrong, but I would like a chef to tell me. But I feel like
Yes.
papaya, even ripe, is probably one of the most challenging things to cook with because I can't really think of.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see how we are all
No?
struggling?
Yes. So, persons, we're just giving some thought as to the main ingredient for Restaurant Week. I remember when I was in Jamaica studying, they had Restaurant Week. I think they still do have it, but it wasn't something that was recognized in St. Kitts or done in St. Kitts, and to see that it spilled over, is interesting.
Yeah.
Because Jamaica had it.
I'm wondering if it started under the Jamaican Tourism Authority head. I don't know, but you remember we had a
Oh yes,
yeah.
yes, that's true. Yeah.
Um,
And I think it started when she was.
But
when she
yo-
was
Yeah, so that's what those.
Don't
Yeah.
forget, Grill Fest is in the middle of Restaurant Week too, and Grill Fest is the day before Restaurant Week ends. So Grill Fest is the 20th of July. Restaurant Week ends on the 21st.
I definitely have to check out that this year, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm?
just in other local news, right?
Mhm.
A lot of persons in St. Kitts and Nevis posted on social media and otherwise asking about the CBI dividend that, the Prime Minister promised that persons will receive on the campaign platform when he was vying for representative for constituency number 8, and also by extension, as leader of the party, his bid, he would have been, if elected, most likely Prime Minister, and so he became Prime Minister, won his seat. And persons have been asking about the CBI dividend. And yesterday, there was an article published, and it says July 8th, 2024. And it says government, and it's from SKNIS, which is the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, so it's legit. It says government prioritizes economic growth initiatives for the betterment of the people. And it says, in a groundbreaking move that sets it apart from other nations, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, upon assuming office in August 2022, committed to paying a citizenship by investment dividend twice yearly. This dividend is contingent on a surplus from the CBI receipts after all financial obligations have been met. To date, 2 dividends and 1 reset have been successfully distributed, making St. Kitts and Nevis the only country in the world to implement such a system. However, the CBI program, a cornerstone of the country's economic strategy, has faced several readjustments. These readjustments have been necessary to ensure critical obligations are met, including the restructuring of the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis and indirect support to the social security systems. Additionally, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis is investing in essential infrastructure projects such as the imminent 50 million desalination plant and enhancing hurricane preparedness amid an increasing active hurricane season. So the article goes on to say that the Prime Minister, Drew, emphasized the significance of these efforts in a recent statement. And this is the statement that he gave, and it's a quote: "Due to the readjustments of the CBI and the fact that we have had to meet obligations such as saving the Development Bank and Social Security indirectly, investments in a 50 million desal plant to start very soon, hurricane preparedness due to a very active hurricane season, we did see a surplus as these committees are extremely critical for our physical and financial health. This administration will continue to be transparent with our people." End of quote. Okay, so transparency remains a cornerstone of a cornerstone principle of St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party administration. By keeping citizens informed about the state of the nation's finances and decisions that impact the Federation's economic health, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis aims to build trust and foster a greater sense of shared responsibility. Well, it goes on to say this, and this is another quote: "As we navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead, we will continue to prioritize the well-being and stability of our country, maintaining open communication and transparency every step of the way." End of quote, Prime Minister Drew said. Okay, so this article, if I were to read it, did it say that did it say that persons are not going to receive? You think?
I think I think that he's basically what he's basically saying is there might not be the wiggle room to do that this year. That's probably what they're saying. Without coming out and saying it, if you're talking about challenges and so on, right? So
yeah, but
and,
in a lot of what is being said, it wasn't said. Unfortunately, we were unable to pay it in June due to these.
It was said, but it wasn't said.
It was. So I'm here reading it because I saw it posted on the social media. But while I read the article itself that is published on SKNIS, and it comes from the press secretary of the Prime Minister's office, you could assume that that's what is being suggested, but it doesn't directly say we're not paying it.
Well, some people can't handle the truth, so the truth has to be relayed obliquely to them, right?
Unless I'm missing something.
But does it need to be obliquely? Because No, just come out and say we can't afford it this time around, and we'll make it up to you at a
Yeah.
later date.
I agree.
That's all.
I agree.
You know, I never knew, as I said, politics and religion, I don't follow. You know, I never knew that was promised.
I didn't know until
Because
it
in
was
this
mentioned last year, you
in
know.
this quote, right? In this quote, and
This
I'm
is
looking
me
at
here
it.
like, what?
It
What
says
are they
due to the
talking
adjustments of the CBI and the fact that we had to meet obligations such as saving the development bank and Social Security indirectly, investments in a $50 million DESAL plan to start very soon, hurricane preparedness due to a very active hurricane season. We did see a surplus as these committees are extremely critical for our physical and financial health. The administration will continue to be transparent with our people. I don't know how those lines match up with the last one.
The fact
Without
is,
saying
the fact
that
is, I would've-
unfortunately we can't pay due to these circumstances.
call
Hello?
him.
Hey,
Hi.
good day.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Live and Allen
Good
TV.
morning, guys.
Hi, Cleo.
Morning.
How are you?
No, Azard, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good morning, yes.
Azard, why are you there trying to beat your head? You're not sure what is he saying, or they're getting it. Come on now, he's saying plainly, y'all not getting it. They're not getting it.
So-
And this thing about bailing out Social Security and the bank. Every week, Social Security come to Win FM and tell the public they're good.
Yes,
They're good.
Cleo, you know, I was wondering
They
that
need
too.
bailing out. What foolishness this? Every week they come and they tell the public they're good. Social Security fine. So who's lying?
That is-
Somebody's lying to the public.
That is true, Cleo, because we have Social Security every last Wednesday, and even the last Wednesday, the representative from Social Security was saying that we're good, don't worry, you know.
Yes, the people have nothing to worry about. So who is lying? Somebody's lying to the public. And the type of hurricane. When you promise the people this, we know we have hurricane. We can expect anything when it comes to hurricane. We in the traffic. What foolishness you are telling people? As Sean would say, nothing but pure gimmicks and tricks. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, Cleo. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
really
did have another call.
Oh,
okay, hopefully,
okay.
okay, here we go. Oh, Alan T, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, morning.
Yes. I think Kortensia is the one who hit the nails on the head. You can't make blood out of stone. If no money is there to pay a dividend, no money is there to pay a dividend. The problem is trying to mask that fact with all kinds of other things that are really not relevant in this case, right? As was said, Social Security was supposedly in an okay position. I am sure I heard it said that the development bank was now stabilized. And so what it says, first of all, is that we did get significant funds from the CBI. It's just that it's not going to be used to pay a dividend, and that's it. Okay? The thing is, though, if you had raised expectations that a dividend would be paid, it's like pulling the rug under people's feet. You're not saying that you're going to half it this time around, or, you know, you just pull it, just like that. And what I find kind of disingenuous was, you know, it's almost like treating citizens like they don't know any better or can't fathom things. If you're going to say that you're going to use it for the development bank and hurricane preparedness and those things, you're going to again be raising expectations that, well, first of all, if we are okay this hurricane season, then I would expect that that money that would have gone towards
The hurricane
recovery
preparedness.
would now be available,
Yep.
right? You know, you're setting us up down the road to expect that.
Yeah.
Okay, and but to me, it is a piece of what I call the smartness that, in inverted commas, that politicians play. You know, we just had the passage of Hurricane Beryl. And so everybody's minds are on that still, because you couldn't bet your life that they knew well in advance of this that no dividend was going to be paid. Okay? That's another story in itself, because I'm feeling that people should also know the numbers so that people can then make a decision as to how correct the decision was to transfer money to other places rather than use part of it for a dividend.
So let me say too, right?
But that money, we don't know how much it is.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that the fact that the hurricane passed, people now have a heightened sense of alertness to hurricanes. So of course, you introduce that into the mix. Nobody wants to see Social Security fail, and so you put that in the mix. Nobody wants to see Development Bank fail, because of course a lot of people depend on it for the education of their children. So you put that into the mix to make the whole thing more palatable, you know, and people are not supposed to see through that.
Okay, so
because that's
Mr. McMahon, we have just under a minute, or just over a minute before our next segment. I want to say thank you for your contribution.
Yeah.
I also want to say, I also want to clear up, there are two articles. So I knew that there was another article that was more direct, because the one that I read is dated July 8th. The one that I read before, and that came from the press secretary. This one is July 7th, 2024, and this came directly from SKNIS. And it says, Prime Minister...
So are you saying they're contradictory?
No, they're saying the same thing, but one is more direct than the other. I guess you had to read the first to understand the second.
Which one is more direct? The
first one. So
Okay.
it says here, Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, who also serves as Minister responsible for the CBI program, announced that the government has made a strategic decision to forego the CBI dividend in order to prioritize vital national projects such as investing in development bank and hurricane preparedness. Okay, so that is direct. That is what I was looking for.
So you see, he's not paying it, y'all.
So
stop
so
looking for it.
July 7th article was more direct.
Yeah.
But you know, we should know. It's still not. Transparency is still not being exercised here. You know, we still don't know the figures, and so we still can't make a good assessment as to how the CBI money is spent, and that has been a problem with the CBI for decades.
And you
right?
make an excellent point there.
Don't know how their money is being spent.
But do you think they want us to know, Mr. McMahon?
And can make assessments on these things as to justification.
Okay, we gotta wrap up the segment.
Yeah. The question is, before we have the doctor, is how can one campaign on transparency and when elected, not? Yeah.
Well, it's up to us to get away with it, right?
Yes.
It always happens.
Okay. Okay, we gotta shut it down here. Personally, I think even at the best of times, I don't believe in this dividend thing. The money should have gone into more important things.
Yeah, the hospital or somewhere. Yeah.
A sovereign
Use it
wealth,
wisely.
a sovereign wealth fund, something like that. Not a fan of the dividend.
But then I think too, before we continue, government should not campaign on promises of the public purse until you get in and you know what the public purse look like. So if you give them
Thank you.
one-time something, then they can't say, oh, you had campaign on that, and that's what people are holding the prime minister
Exactly.
accountable to.
Yeah.
Everything that he said. So he
which
should
is
have
why I
gone
said-
in, checked the purse, then surprise everybody, say, hey, a nice Christmas, a 500, and then everybody would have been cool. He didn't say, I'm going to give you this Christmas every Christmas. He just give you one Christmas and make you feel nice and call it a day. But we have to be mindful when we're campaigning, and I hope politicians are learning their lessons, looking at the faults of the ones that came before them, and don't make the same
Yeah,
mistakes.
and
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
So like that's not something I would have said until I
Exactly.
seen the books.
Yep.
You know?
Let me see the purse first.
Yeah.
Yeah, purse first.
Yep.
Okay. So we got weekly dose coming up next. Let's go take
Yeah.
a break.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Here are your Horsefords Value Mart IGA special.
Running June 27 to July 10th.
Now our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Kraft mayonnaise, just $24.99. Post cereals, cocoa, fruity pebbles, Oreo, honeycombs, $12.99. Your Play yogurt, $3.55. Essential everyday sliced cheeses, just $8.99. Fabuloso disinfectant, $18.99. Fiora bath tissue, double roll, $20.99. And now our very low weekly
Value deals. Mueller's pasta, $5.99. IGN Essential Everyday Salad Dressing, $10.99. IGN Essential Everyday Cornflakes, $9.99. VO5 Shampoo and Conditioner, $5.49. Amarama Deodorant, $8.99. Extra Liquid Laundry Detergent, $12.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en
Value Mart.
But clearly they're happy to see the doctor. Everyone is all welcome to the show, Doc.
Good morning.
Time
Good
for weekly
morning.
dose.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
How is everyone doing? Doctor, how are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm not complaining, although
Can't you tell?
She came in here all smiles, all smiles.
I have to bring the good energy.
Yes.
We all have to.
Yes, wonderful.
So this morning's topic is all about nipple discharge.
Yes.
Should I begin it like that? So I will let you continue. Doc.
Why is that you're smiling?
Because of how Azard, when you came in, Azard said nipple discharge. So
I know Azad is interested in learning as much as he can about this topic.
Oh
So
boy.
Weirdo.
No, I woke up this morning. I'm checking my emails.
Oh,
and
I
see,
thought you was just gonna say check this nipple.
Okay.
I'm checking my emails. You understand? And here comes the email from the lovely doctor. Nipple discharge. I said, okay, the topic.
all right.
Yes.
But although it may sound funny, but
Yes.
this is a very serious
Yeah.
topic.
It
Let's get our
is. It
Yeah.
is. And so,
Sounds good.
doctor, what inspired you to bring forth this topic this morning?
Okay, well, because of two recent cases I saw.
Yes.
One was a lady around in her 40s, so she presented with this reddish discharge from one of her right breast. So in certain areas, when you compress or you press at the nipple, there would be this discharge coming from some of the little holes or orifice that is on the nipple. All right, and in a particular area, you can look at the nipple or the breast as a clock. So you have 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, think about it, the hand of the clock going around. So when you pressed a particular area, I think this area was around 3 o'clock, you've had that this discharge was, it kept coming out of there. And it was rusty in color, like a bloodish looking discharge. So that was of concern. Of course, the patient was concerned. She had a biopsy done. Of course, it turned out to be something benign that we're going to talk about. So in instances like that, that is called an intraductal papilloma. It is one of the most common cause for bloody nipple discharge, or is the most common cause. And the second case is a young female in her 30s who presented with a clear nipple discharge and a lump in the breast. All right, and she's very concerned, was very nervous. She is still pending for her biopsy to see exactly what that is. And so that inspired the idea of discussing nipple discharge. In one instant, one of the discharge was brownish. The other instant, it was a clear fluid that came out of the breast.
I know that, just saying the word nipple discharge, persons will get an idea of what it's all about. But you, doctor, could you give us, from your scientific and medical background, what is the appropriate definition when we to say about nipple discharge?
Well, it's just fluid coming out of the nipple. It could be from one of the nipple, it could be from both of it, and it depends on what that is. If it is milk, in a breastfeeding mother or someone who's lactating or after childbirth, it could be yellowish in color. The consistency would tell us certain things, all right? It could be, as we said, a browny, rusty looking bloody appearing discharge, because persons have presented, we said, Doc, I've often seen that my clothes is stained with this kind of dark brown substance that seem to be coming from my nipple. So anything that comes out of the nipple, that discharge is a nipple discharge. Most time it is harmless, but there's certain times it can be indicative of something more serious, like a breast malignancy or breast cancer. But most time we know typically a woman who's lactating would have breast discharge on blood, milk from her breast. But if someone who's not lactating have that, it may be a cause to investigate, okay? And especially if you see a discharge from the breast of a male, that is not normal at all. So that would be even more for alarm or concern at that point.
So what kind of nipple discharge would you consider or classify as normal?
Okay, so nipple discharge can be considered normal if it mostly comes out of both breasts. Typically, it's not going to be a major concern of the same discharge is coming. So it can be whitish, it can be greenish in color, or it could be a little bit brown. And if you squeeze the nipple and it comes out, okay, because it means that you're provoking it at that point. And if it comes out from several of the small openings on top of the nipple head, you know that the nipple has a lot of small openings if it comes out of several. But if it's particular, as I presented in the first case where you had, when you press at a particular point on the breast, that discharge came out of that specific opening, that is of more concern because it tells you something directly in that region, it has a problem to it. Okay, so if it's a lactating female or she's had been lactating in the last 2 or 3 years, you still may have some nipple or discharge from the breast that may not be of any major concern. But specifically, if it is milky in consistency, if it is on both breasts, most of the times it indicative is something that is maybe normal.
Okay. Wow.
So, what are some of the health conditions that may cause abnormal nipple discharge?
Yes, so what would be some of the conditions that cause abnormal nipple discharge? There, we spoke about some discharge that may be considered normal, but a discharge that is considered abnormal would always be a discharge from the breast. Firstly, if it is bloody in nature, there's no reason for you to have blood coming out of your nipple. That would always be a concern and should be followed up. If it's usually one breast that is affected, and especially if it comes out spontaneously, always have to keep this in mind. So if the content from the nipple just spewts out on its own without any compression, that's always typically a heightened reason for concern. Some of the most common reasons for having a nipple discharge could be a hormone imbalance. So you have some sort of hormone imbalance during menstrual cycle or your menstrual period or during menopause. Pregnancy and breastfeeding, we all know that is physiological, so that is perfectly normal. There's certain medications that can create or increase the chance of you having a nipple discharge. There's certain hypertensive medication. When you take your pressure medication, you've got things like birth control and things like antidepressants. Certain patients who are on using medications for some kind of mental health disorder, you can have that. If you stimulate the nipple quite significantly too, you can create a discharge over time. With sexual arousal, there can be a discharge. Injury to the breast, and even things like stress. So there are lots of things that can create a nipple discharge. I see that Kortensia has a
stress.
thing.
I'm wondering. Wow, I never knew that. Stress. Oh wow.
Yes.
So what are some common health conditions that make? That's the one. Oh, okay. Just seemed like I did. What are some of the health conditions that may cause abnormal nipple discharge?
Okay, a breast abscess. So if a lady has an abscess in the breast, which is common in breastfeeding mothers, it's very rare to have breast abscess in a female who's in a menopausal age group. That should be of concern as
So
well.
it's inside the breast tissue?
Yes, so an abscess of the breast, which is an infectious process. We know that. Any sort of infectious process, you could have a discharge from the nipple because there's an abscess or infection there. Another thing we spoke about earlier, and I mentioned it briefly, is the intraductal papilloma. That's the most common cause for a bloody nipple discharge, but that's a benign tumor that lies inside the duct of the breast. And so you'll see that discharge, that bloody, or it could appear rusty brown looking discharge. And you'll have, of course, to do a biopsy and remove that affected duct and have it tested for confirmation. Okay? You can have a mammary duct ectasia. These are abnormal conditions, and periductal mastitis, inflammation of the ducts and stuff. They can have these discharges coming from the nipple. Sometimes it's greenish in nature. You can have a tumor inside the brain. We have a pituitary tumor, okay, that's called a prolactinoma, and that can stimulate the breast to produce extra milk. Because remember, there's signal coming from the brain to stimulate the ducts so that the milk can be produced. That's in the normal physiological process when a mother is about to breastfeed or is breastfeeding. You can have things like cystic breast, where you have fibrocystic changes of the breast, where that breast is lumpy, bumpy. Sometimes women feel that in their breast. It is very common. It is not a disease. We call it now fibrocystic changes because it's very common and there's no risk of any cancer or anything. But also, if you have a breast cancer, you could have a nipple discharge. Typically, if you have a breast cancer, the discharge is typically bloody. Though that's a bloody discharge is the most commonly seen by the intraductal papilloma. So you understand the difference. But if you have a breast cancer and there is a discharge associated with it, it tends to be a bloody discharge. And so there are different things. Sometimes persons with hormonal conditions or things like hypothyroidism, they can have a discharge from the nipple, certain conditions, okay? So if your thyroid is underactive.
What is the Paget's disease? I see one here that says Paget's disease. What's
Paget's disease. That can also call a nipple discharge. Paget's disease is nothing more than a cancer of the breast. It's an intraductal carcinoma of the breast that starts around the nipple and the areola. That's that black area just around the nipple, and it appears like a rash-like lesion, but it's actually a breast cancer.
Oh boy.
So you said, that if you have a nipple discharge in males, it's abnormal. Mm-hmm. But what are some of the common causes of this abnormality?
Because a male's breast, there's no reason, because a male would never breastfeed. And okay, so that it should never be normal for you to have a discharge from the breast of a male. If you have a deficiency in your testosterone, we spoke about gynecomastia some time behind, when the male have abnormal breast tissue and there's an increase in the size of the breast. Okay? So that can give you a nipple discharge. If you have a tumor, we also already mentioned that in females you could have a tumor in a small little organ like inside of the brain that's called the pituitary gland. And if there's a tumor there, it can stimulate the breast to produce breast milk. Okay? That's called a prolactinoma.
Right,
and if you have cancer of the breast, go ahead, Jeffrey.
No, I'm saying it's right there in the name.
Yes. And if he has a cancer of the breast, you could have a discharge from the nipple.
Okay.
Would you encourage people? I know this is not one of the questions, but would you encourage people to squeeze their nipples to see what's happening there, or just?
We also said persistent stimulation of the nipple can create that as well too. You don't want to start anything if you don't have anything coming from the breast. There's no reason to start squeezing on your breast. But I know for sexual arousal and stimulation, you may have contact, of course, with the breast, and you may see something from time to time.
Okay, let's talk about medications. We know medications always have some adverse effect. So are there any medication that cause nipple discharge?
We spoke about having hypertensive medication. There are quite a few of them. All right. We also spoke about things like antipsychotic drugs. antidepressant drugs. Oftentimes we have patients who are taking these psychiatric drugs who may be under that psychiatric care, and they're having these medication. It stimulates the gynecomastia, and it stimulates and the level of the brain, that same area, and it creates the production of milk and stuff. So there are quite a few drugs that person can use and have a side effect. Okay. Cocaine as well too. They said if you're abusing things like cocaine and marijuana.
You see my face because I'm like, isn't this the good thing?
Why is that?
Marijuana, because everybody claims it's good for this, it's good for that. And now you see that can cause
a nipple discharge. Okay,
and both things can be true.
Both things can be true.
And I'm looking that I drink fennel for gas and anise, and I'm seeing them both here, and I'm like, what?
But I've never had about one-time use or twice, but persistent and constant use. And persons are different. It may never have an effect on you, but it may have an effect on someone else.
Okay. Fair enough.
And we're still, as time goes by and with with information, a lot is still to be revealed by this marijuana. So everything is not rosy, and if you understand what I mean. I'm not convinced yet about all the perks and stuff that
be nice to the grass. Be nice.
She is. As she said, in study we will definitely know.
Time always
tells. Indeed. And our parents told us that coming up as kids. So what are the common types of nipple discharge? I know you mentioned them.
Some of them, yes. So milky discharge, that's the most common cause, Jamster. So in women, it can be because you've recently stopped breastfeeding, okay? Or due to hormonal shift in your peri or premenopausal period. So if a woman would have had a 4-year-old and she stopped breastfeeding at least 2 years ago, from time to time, if she has a nipple discharge or milky discharge, that may be pretty normal or nothing of concern, okay? A bloody nipple discharge, we said it's another common discharge. It can be caused by, we said, a non-cancerous tumor or cancerous tumor. We said the most common cause of a bloody nipple discharge is the intraductal papilloma, and that can be confirmed once you have your biopsy. But if you have a breast cancer, it can also give you a bloody nipple discharge. A clear discharge from one breast can also be a sign of a breast cancer, especially if it's associated with a tumor there too. So you still would have to be test the tumor, do a biopsy for confirmation. And if the discharge is greenish in color, it can be a sign of a cyst, underlying cyst, or some other benign conditions of the breast. So these are the most common. It could be milky, it could be bloody, it could be just a clear liquid, or it can be a greenish in color.
Greenish?
Yeah.
Earlier I heard the doctor saying green is good, and when you think about green, you think green is you, right?
No.
Anything green.
Commonly, when it's a green, it turns out to be something benign. Okay, but it's typically associated with probably a cyst in the breast or something we call mammary duct ectasia. It's an abnormal condition, but benign or non-cancerous.
Boy, wow. Okay, so how is a nipple discharge diagnosed?
So once you have a discharge from the nipple, you want to do some sort of imaging study. So if you have a young female under the age of 30, you can do a breast ultrasound, looking to see if you see a cyst, looking to see if you see a duct that is dilated or any changes in the breast. So you want to do that.
So don't you take a swab and maybe put some of the discharge on?
That can be done, but that typically not going to be confirming your diagnosis at all. Okay. That doesn't confirm your diagnosis. Then you need a biopsy. You could do we said an ultrasound or a mammogram, checking to see if there are any abnormal looking calcifications in the breast. We know that mammograms are done either yearly or by every 2 years in females over the age of 40 in terms of a screening test for breast cancer. So you're looking at the mammogram to see if there's any abnormal calcification, which can be indicative of a breast cancer. So that would be part of your study. Then you need biopsy. You always need tissue for confirmation. Like in the case of our patient who had the intraductal papilloma and had the bloody nipple discharge. She had a biopsy which confirmed that it was an intraductal papilloma. So if you see a tumor there, you want to biopsy that and confirm whether it is a cancer, whether it's just a fibroadenoma, which is a benign condition of the breast seen in young adults, or whether it's just fibrocystic changes, which is another benign condition. And of course, the most feared diagnosis would be the breast cancer.
Quick question: Can patients draw any let's say clues from the smell of the discharge or anything like that? Is that something you can add?
Curious question. If it is pus, like an abscess or infectious process, you may have a scent to it, but typically it's not going to be scented. Okay, but if there's an infection, you can smell something that's a bit foul because bacteria would be there collecting.
Does cancer smell? So it has to be just a cyst and not.
What are you asking specifically?
Okay. So Jamsa just asked if we will have an odor. So I think I heard you say correctly that might be a cyst, right?
No, okay. Typically, if it smells something odorous or foul, it can be indicative that the patient has an abscess, because an abscess would have purulent discharge infection because of bacteria. But you're not going to smell a cancer. Remember, I said you do not get too much data or information from the discharge itself, so it really not. It can clinically guide you. Because we spoke about if it is a rusty or bloody appearing, it may be indicative of an intraductal papilloma, or secondary if it's a cancer. If it is clear or it is milky looking, it could be indicative that there is a galactoloma, which is what you call it, like a cyst filled with breast milk. Okay, and if it is greenish in color, it could be a cyst or it could be something like a mammary duct ectasia. So it depends. It could give you some clues, but the liquid itself is not of too much value with swabbing it, because what you're going to do when you swab it is not too much. Okay. So it may not be of any value. It's not going to have any cells. It may not typically have any cells for you to test, and you may not. Okay. So you would still have to do a biopsy in that instant and see exactly what the problem is.
Oh boy.
So I would not consider the that to be conclusive.
Okay.
The discharge itself.
So let's talk about how this is all treated.
So it's going to come down to what is the cause of this discharge. Ultimately, we may have to stop some medication. We also indicated earlier that medications can cause this discharge. If you're taking some sort of antihypertensive or blood pressure medication, we may stop that medication and put you on another medication. If you have some antipsychotic or antidepressive medication, some of them you suspend them and change to another medication that may not have that side effect. You may want to remove the lump by testing it. If it's an intraductal papilloma, once you remove that duct that has the papilloma inside of it, then you would be cured and you have confirmation to your biopsy. Okay? And if you have an infectious process, of course, and you have an abscess, you want to drain it, open it, let the pus drain out, and put the patient on antibiotics. So you're trying to treat the cause of this nipple discharge, okay? Sometimes there's no apparent cause, because some of it could be benign ultimately. Some persons may just have this discharge when they compress the nipple, when they squeeze on the nipple, all right? And we've often said, okay, let's do a CT scan of the brain to see if you have one of these adenomas or tumors in the brain, which is a benign tumor, okay? So there's nothing. Oftentimes, we said in the beginning that most of these nipple discharge are benign conditions, but there are times when it can be of concern. And if it persists, and especially if it is associated with that brown or bloody discharge, you want to get it checked out.
I have a question that is not part of these questions. What if you're in your baby bearing years? I see something that says taking out a milk duct.
But you remember, in the breast, the anatomy of the breast shows that we've had about 15 to 20 ducts there. Okay. Ductal lobular units. Remember, we said when you compress, if the drainage is coming from a specific area, so you can remove that particular duct. You're not
Okay.
removing all of the ducts.
Okay.
So you've got about 15, 20 ductal lobular units,
Okay.
and so that the woman can still breastfeed.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Phew.
Here's another off the reservation question. I was reading last week that about women who may have adopted a baby, maybe it's an infant, and there are procedures or drugs you can take to stimulate breast milk so that the woman can feed the baby.
Can feed that baby.
Are there any side effects of that would tie into what we're talking about here? Like maybe after, maybe you start getting a weird discharge because
No,
of
not,
the, no?
not
Okay, I just
particularly.
wondered.
You remember too, in certain countries, you can breastfeed another baby. It's quite
Yeah,
fine.
but remember, what I mean is, let's say the person wasn't.
They just
breastfeeding.
adopt.
You
They just
yes,
adopt.
and
they
it
just
wasn't
want
like they
to
were pregnant.
do-
Yeah.
Yeah, get the whole
But they
experience.
want-
Okay,
Yeah.
let's say that is
Yeah.
the case, and you start producing milk because it's stimulated. No, there's no.
Oh, okay.
There's
I
no
just
problem
wondered.
there.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wondered
Okay.
about that.
Okay. So,
Okay.
when should one be concerned about nipple discharge?
Okay. So it becomes
Precise.
concerning Azard.
I'm bringing it all back home.
Back home. So you want to be concerned about it if you're a man. There is no reason for you to have a nipple discharge. So Azad, if you see that there is a nipple discharge that's coming out and it's spontaneous, that is very important too. As a man, you're seeing a discharge. Secondly, if it is spontaneous, you didn't touch your breast, you didn't touch the nipple, and you see that it's wet, there is a discharge. That is more of concern. If it is bloody, we keep emphasizing that. It may not be pure blood looking, but keep in mind it's going to be that rusty brown color. Okay? That tends to be what you typically, how it's going to be described. All right? And if it's coming from one nipple and not both, we spoke about that. That is typically pointing to words that there's something pathological. Okay? If it's coming from both and it's just milky in nature, and when you squeeze it, you see that is typically of no concern. Okay? And if you have an associated lump with it, or mass or swelling, you want to get that checked out. Because if you have a tumor in the breast, the tumor can be benign or malignant, but any kind of mass in the breast is a tumor. You will need to get that checked out. All right? So if you observe it for, let's say you observe it for a week or so, but you see that it persists, the discharge is there, it's coming out of one breast, you're male, or it's associated with a lump there, you want to get it checked out.
Thank you, doctor.
It would have been nice if we had. I guess the doctor answered all the questions because we have no calls. 1 minute to 9 o'clock. Yeah. As she always is. She's always on point.
Very informative. Almost all the time. I'm like, oh boy. I just had this weird thought, and I'm going to ask it because when I think things, I like to ask it. We know we have some guys that take drugs to alter their being.
Like for what? Like in terms of
Hormones.
Hormone for
Yeah.
gender change.
Gender change.
Reassignment.
Does that occur for them too? Would they get, does those
Oh,
hormones,
that's a good question.
do they cause them to lactate or have these discharges or?
That's a very good question. And to be 100%, I wouldn't be able to, I'm not sure. Because
Okay.
it's so much drugs and different things that
Yeah.
you're taking, things with estrogen.
Yeah.
And it may be a possibility because you're trying to get more female
Yeah,
hormone in
hormones,
that
yeah.
person to make them have the skin more supple. We've spoken about estrogen. You want
Yeah.
the breast to develop and conditions like that. You may be able to, in certain instance, have a discharge.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
remember, once you start having these hormone
Replacements.
introduced into the body, there can be lots of side effects. That is why females are at risk of having breast cancer much more than male. Because of what? Because of the estrogen, that's a major part of it. Because male have breast tissue, though it is underdeveloped as compared to the female. But women, because we have that estrogen that gives us so much benefit, increased estrogen puts you at increased risk of developing.
Let me ask you a question. Given the breadth of medical topics that you've discussed over the last year, if you're living in the States, a lot of these things, would you be referring them to a specialist?
Oh, okay, good question. Because if you're looking at a first world country like the UK, in the US, Australia, a lot of these patients, you're going to refer to specific areas. You have a breast specialist, okay? But a breast specialist is still a general surgeon who then did extra studies in breast. So that is going to be their focus.
Okay.
When you're thinking about a country that has a population of 325 million persons thereabout, you can specialize in one area and see that all day long and focus your energy on that.
But
okay?
technically, you could send them to a gynecologist as well.
Gynecologists typically, that is not their focus on
No?
the breast.
Really?
It's really
Interesting.
in most instances in the United States, I know that. And how we were trained, the gynecologists focus on the female reproductive system, and the breast is seen by the breast surgeon, who is a general surgeon, but
Okay.
with further training.
Okay.
Okay.
So here now, in terms of the breadth of stuff that you cover, you would tend to treat all of those?
Yes, because
And-
I'm a general
and-
surgeon. I'm
okay,
a general surgeon, and we were trained in dealing with the breast.
In other words, you're a badass because, I mean, no, I'm serious because, I mean,
Yes.
think about it. I think sometimes those first world countries, they do the specialization thing and almost to a fault, where I feel like doctors here, like I feel like my old chemistry teacher, Dr. Cameron Wilkinson and her, and I feel like just because of the breadth of things they have to deal with here, they're
Yeah.
probably much more rounded than the typical.
But I remember
Even,
some
you
years
know?
ago, it's good that you say that. We had a presentation at the Caribbean Conference of Surgeons where Dr. Wilkinson spoke about the true general surgeon, and is it a dying breed? Because originally general surgeons did a lot more, all right, because that was the original base of surgery, general surgeon. But with the advent of time, you start breaking it up into different parts. You then had the neurosurgeon, the cardiothoracic surgeon that you focus just on the chest. You've got the urologist who focus just on the urinary system. You broke it down, and then you had the vascular surgeon, and then you have the, what we call it, the GI surgeon, the gastrointestinal surgeon, who then would focus on the GI system. You understand? And then you have the colon specialist now who will just do colon resection. But the true general surgeon was able to put his hands on most of these areas and was successful. Because we have a smaller community here, it is not feasible to have a specialist in every particular area because the workload would not be there. Okay? But the general surgeon, that's hence what the name comes from, where the name comes from. A general surgeon, you were able to touch most of these areas. If we get a gunshot wound, we have to open the chest.
Wow.
If we get a gunshot wound, we've had to do things on, if we get certain neurosurgery cases, we do undertake if there's a bleed in the brain. We're not going to be resecting a tumor from the brain. That is more complex. But if there is an emergency surgery that is needed, where life and death as time is of essence, the general surgeon can and has done things like in that nature.
Have you ever had a case where you're doing one of these procedures and interventions, and you have to maybe consult a specialist friend from overseas?
A couple of times, to be honest, I'm in the operating room. I remember a couple months ago, I had a patient. We spoke about it with the foreign body in the rectum. I had to open the abdomen and remove it because I couldn't get it out from below by the rectum. But I called Dr. Wilkinson and just ran through the case quickly with him.
Okay.
Just to point out, this is what my thought was and this is what I'm doing. And he agreed with me and stuff. So sometimes you need a support system. You know, we have other colleagues. You can reach out to your colleagues. And you
that's
should.
sweet.
You're in a case and there's a problem down there in the gyna, in the uterus. You have to call the OBGYN in to get some additional support. Things like that.
Wonderful.
Or the urologist, you say, oh man, we have this issue. Let me call in the neurologist because a patient was shot. The kidney is shattered. Okay, you would call in the urologist because we now have a urologist on board to get some additional support. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, well, Doc, I always learn something new. Although, I think my face, some people be messaging me and say, Kortensia, your face. And I'll be like, yeah, because that's how I'm feeling. Yeah.
Good thing they can't see mine, huh?
That camera is giving me away, but that's just how
the range of facial expressions I've gone through.
I prefer that than a person who is aphasic, where you get no reaction out of that. That drives me crazy. Like you're not sure how weird that person is.
Yeah.
And if there are persons like that, they'll tell you your face gives it away or whatever. But they know when you're happy, when you're sad. But
the
that
poker face person.
Yeah, that poker face person. Like, are you ever happy? You want to shake that person?
Because you don't know what's happening there.
All right, so it's always good to be here with you.
Always a pleasure.
Welcome back at this
Thank
time,
you.
Kortensia. We're always good to have you. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, great fun as usual. 7 minutes after 9 o'clock, we went over time and it was well worth it.
Well worth it, indeed.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
It's new and only at ICWI, the insurance company of the West Indies. Receive free windscreen cover when you purchase your third-party policy with ICWI. You heard right. Free windscreen cover with your third-party policy for only a limited time. If you're a third-party policy holder, take advantage of this limited time offer and switch to ICWI for added protection. Isn't it time you experience insurance the ICWI way? Conditions apply. Click, call, or visit ICWI today. Visit us at 1C Bird Rock Road. Call 465-8753 or ICWI.com.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime.
There are basic steps you can take to prepare for hurricane season. When seeking public shelter, pet owners should make plans to ensure your pet's safety. Emergency shelters cannot accept them due to safety and sanitation requirements. For tips on how to secure your pets, please contact the National Emergency Management Agency at 466-5100 or by visiting NEMA.kn. From danger to safety, NEMA's there for you. I am Jamelia Henry.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime.
No one can predict disaster. I am Jamelia Henry with some tips for minimizing risk when disaster strikes. Always keep a first aid kit and manual on hand. Keep prescription medicines and special medical supplies for up to 1 week at home. Baby food and prepared formula, diapers, and other baby provisions should be in good supply and kept in a dry, clean space. The first defense against disaster for your family is preparedness. Contact NEMO at 466-5100 for information or visit NEMO.kn. From danger to safety, NEMO's your candle in the dark.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster.
9:09 and we are back. Island Tea.
Yes, just we had our good doctor in the studio with us, and she spoke about nipple discharge, and we asked a number of questions, and we hope that, persons who are listening, they were even more informed about what that is and how to seek attention, medical attention, where and when necessary. And just before we had our weekly dose, we were talking about an article that was published by SKNIS indicating that this year the Prime Minister has chosen to forgo the CBI dividend for June due to other reasons, that he outlined. We have a caller though, so I have to cut that short.
Caller, go right ahead. Could you turn your radio down, please?
Yes, good morning to everybody.
Oh, hi.
Good morning, Greg.
In Jesus' name. Good morning to you and everybody.
Good morning,
else.
Gregory.
God's blessing to you all.
Yes.
No, first of all, I'm calling concerning what y'all was spoken earlier before the good doctor arrived.
Mm-hmm.
and she was very informative.
Yes.
Thank you.
But let me speak to what y'all was speaking to before the good doctor arrived. No, first of all, with all due respect, I have to give Jack his jacket. PM Joe, he's the only leader that has given dividend to the people from the selling passport thing, CBI program. And no one else has have done that. Be they in St. Kitts, and to the best of my knowledge, in no other country as well.
Okay.
Okay? So I have to give Jack his jacket. He's the only one who have done that, to the best of my knowledge. Now, after saying that, let me say this as well. Like I always been telling people, I always say on this station, that when you demand more and more of your government to do more and more for you, it's going to take more and more money. And inflation is going up, so that is even compounding the problem even more. And so therefore, government is going to be continually under pressure to take money from here, there, and everywhere, and do all sorts of stuff to get the monies to pay for the expenditures to meet what the people are demanding of them to do, to provide, to give, and so on, to regulate, and so on, and so on. Because nothing government does is for free. Everything government does, even if it's on the ground, it's going to cost money. And in the end, to the taxpayer.
Yep.
In the end, they're the ones who the government going to have to squeeze to get the money. So therefore, I'm not surprised with us not getting any dividend. Because it would happen sooner or later. Just like sooner or later, government have to raise tax, and significantly so. I expected it sooner or later. And I expected other benefits that we're getting, government going to have to dip the hand in those other places as well to find the money to meet the people's demand. No, not only that. Not only that, I also have to say this as well. I also have to say it as well. You mentioned, I think Kortensia and Jamster said that, under promise, over perform. But that ain't how the democratic system works. And by the way, before I go on to that, let me also say that I do not agree with the selling passport thing. I don't agree with it. The selling passport thing, because it lowers the reputation and the weight your passport carries. But that's it for that. In democracy, you get elected by promising more and more. You have to outdo your opponent. That is how the democracy works.
Yeah, but outdo your opponent to your detriment? Because look now...
To the detriment of the country.
So you're saying that...
To the detriment of the country or to the detriment of the individual?
Yeah.
Because they're not attacking the country, they're saying he said this.
No.
Gregory, there's a principle. There's a principle in advertising and marketing called truth in advertising. So truth in advertising. So you're saying that shouldn't apply to politics?
You ain't gonna get elected if your promises are smaller than your opponent.
So be it.
Wow.
Yeah, you
exactly.
Yeah, yeah?
Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
If people can't handle the truth, if people can't handle the truth, or
exactly,
or the truth, but let's call it the truth by omission. If I don't make outrageous promises, I'm not going to get elected. Well,
so Gregory, are you saying, are you encouraging outrageous promises?
I'm saying that is what it takes to get elected. You got to face the reality.
I want to disagree. That's your opinion based on a system that you don't even support because you don't vote. You understand?
No, I don't vote, but I see in a democracy what it takes to vote, and people are going to always turn to demagoguery and that sort of stuff.
No, Gregory, there might be persons who want more and more things, but I think human mind, we understand enough to at least, those persons who reason that we want, even though there are promises made, there are persons who ask questions. as to how feasible these promises are actually.
Very few.
Say that again?
You said very few.
Very few people ask those questions. The vast majority of the voting public, the more promises you make, the more they're inclined to vote
But Greg,
for you.
isn't it incumbent on politicians to help to elevate the electorate's political maturity and political knowledge, and inculcating them a sense of civic responsibility and being knowledgeable about how the government works, at least in
Greg,
in
what
a
I
basic
want,
way.
what I want to put on you, I want to encourage you to speak to others in your community and to encourage them, educate them on the role of governments and putting value into the system that we have and ensuring that they are not fooled by idle promises or promises that seem unrealistic. Could you go through the community and try to educate the younger ones the value of of not being, I don't want, what's it, the value of having
you
principle.
Greg said that's what get them elected. Even in the U.S., Trump promises less taxes, blah, blah, blah. And that's how Trump gets elected. Look, celebrities want Trump to go back in so they can save on their taxes. So Trump
promises.
Yeah, promises.
Yeah, there would be promises.
Democrats promise more welfare.
But
there would be promises.
Yep.
But at the end of the day,
promises.
Gregory, are you? Isn't your background in economics?
Biblical economics.
Oh, biblical. Okay.
Amen, Brother Greg. Amen.
So
biblical economics. What I'm saying.
I'm trying to.
People cannot.
We have a problem in terms of, because if you're seeing it as a situation that people want people to just promise things that they can't fulfill just because they have to sound or outdo their competition. I am encouraging you, even in your space, to educate persons to the dangers of doing just that.
Well, I'm trying very much on the radio when I get the opportunity to do that.
Okay then.
For starters.
You go, Greg.
For starters.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying
Don't
is
encourage
that
them.
What I'm saying that you all are talking how it should be, okay?
Mm-hmm.
How it should be is not necessarily how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because politicians and people who are supposed to be responsible, who are supposed to be educating the people, instead they're dumbing them down so they could control them.
Mm-hmm. But
you
don't.
You seem to want to be on both sides of it. You're complaining that they're dumbing down, but at the same time you're saying, "Oh well, lie. That's the only way you're gonna get
in."
I'm not saying to lie.
Or make your campaign extra sensational.
Or overstate.
I'm not saying that politicians should lie. What I'm saying is that is how you get elected in the system, by lying, promising what you know you can't be fulfilled. That's how you get elected.
But
I'm
Gregory,
not saying it is wrong.
But
that is the system.
But Gregory,
Greg, do you think they lie or they don't know? Because as I would have mentioned to Azard earlier, I think, and Jamster, that they should know the purse before they talk. So know the thing before you talk. So don't promise.
What I'm telling you, but what I'm telling you, then a lot of them know some things can be fulfilled within the time they can fulfill it. But they know the people want to hear sweet lies.
Okay.
Okay, so Gregory.
And the promise, the lie, and the promising that they know they can't fulfill.
Okay, Greg.
So Gregory, this is my opinion.
You got me singing Fleetwood Mac over here in my head.
This is my opinion, right?
Yes, sweet lies. People love to hear sweet lies. People can handle the truth or not.
Okay, so this is what I want to say, and this is my opinion. We had an election in 2022, whereby the government now, the administration now, promised a number of things, half of which are still unfulfilled. Because they sounded, because they sounded good. I think that this is a prime example for people to understand that promises, if they sound too good, try to ask them how are they going to get it done. Because right now we're experiencing in our federation 2024, whereby promises were made by members of this administration that sounded good, but still unfulfilled. So I feel at least now the people understand that we can't just listen to anything a politician comes and says to us during the election campaign. Because at the end of the day, if we encourage them just to say whatever they're saying and we vote them in, we are bound to repeat history again and in the same situation.
No, but they're voted in on the precedents that we gonna watch them do it. But the fact that they're not doing it and people are sounding out, it either makes them become accountable and do what they said they're gonna do, or they're just gonna ignore the people and continue to do what they are going to do.
And I think if we use this example now, whereby the Labour administration has failed to carry out its promises.
But they still have some more time, so maybe they're going to hurry it up in the last 3 years.
But all parties make all kind of
I'm
promises.
talking about the
It ain't just a Labour issue only.
Okay, let me talk about the present, Gregory, because we have a present administration.
Gregory, I'm on your side, Gregory.
So, Kortensia is on your side, but I'm talking about present, because I am here in the present, I am feeling the present, and I need the present need to be corrected so we could change the future. You understand? So I'm here in the present, so I'm only talking about the present at this point in time.
Before you clean somebody out, also make sure yours are clean too.
Gregory, let me talk about the present. You understand?
Present is very important.
I am talking about the present. So we have a present situation whereby promises are unfulfilled. You understand? We have to keep our administration accountable, because if we don't keep them accountable, election is going to come up again, and they would feel that it's okay to come with the sweet lies again, because the people.
But that is what going to always happen with all the parties. That's why an American president, I think it was Adams, who said, democracy commits suicides. In that time, it commits suicide. It kills it also because the politicians, in order for them to get elected in the democratic system, have to be increasing continually their false promises to be appealing to the people.
Let me stop you there, Gregory, because there are advantages and disadvantages of having a democracy, but I by far think that a democracy is far better than a dictatorship. You understand? Because then we have no choice.
I wouldn't even call them disadvantages. I'll just call them challenges.
Yes.
You know?
So what I like that term, so challenges. So what we need to do is just educate the masses, educate those who vote. You understand? Educate them on...
Who going to educate them? The politicians?
People like you and I, Gregory. You say that
you're... The politicians. The
Gregory.
Okay,
Gregory.
Greg, we have to take another call,
can assist in educating.
Caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, man. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Bro.
How are you guys doing, man?
Good.
Wonderful.
What about you?
How are you, bro?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, Azard, man. You know,
Well, go ahead. It seems like you cut out. Okay.
Huh?
We can hear you, bro.
We have heard,
you cut out a bit.
We just want to get the update. We want to get the update on the MSR situation locally. We heard that the local case is going to be heard starting tomorrow. You know, the people have to know about this situation here. For 40 years, people sat in St. Kitts and Nevis, and the transparency wasn't coming. So persons were in the dark. You know, this situation with the MSR situation, you know, is a total disgrace to the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. You know, we got to put that out there. Persons got to get down in front of that High Court and pass there with their placards starting tomorrow. This stuff cannot be swept underneath the rug. Otherwise, the status quo remains. You know, the gentleman just before me, he mentioned about a dividend, right? That dividend, you know, there's a special caller, a lady who's calling in recently asking for $10,000 for the citizens. And Dr. Ju went there. From what he saw, he definitely said to himself, let me keep the people close by giving a dividend. The idea that he is the only prime minister that gives a dividend, that is absurd. That was just a political gimmick. You know, he felt that dividend should have been given from day one. The citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, they deserve that dividend. the money coming in from the CBI program should have been used for the development of the country, put them infrastructures you always talking about, people building houses and can't get roads going to their houses, and also the money, now that the people them have seen and heard that there was so much money coming in and the money was mismanaged, the people them right now is going to be real upset. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis has been deceived. They have to be kept in the dark about their own national asset called the CBI program. And now what Dr. Judum is trying to do, they're inside now with these broken promises that they gave before the election when they was campaigning. Now that they're inside, they want to try to roll back and pull back this dividend. But they're not only going to pull back the dividend, they're going to also, because last year, at the end of the year, they have already started pulling back the double. When this Christmas comes, there might be $0 in terms of a bonus. The way how these guys are operating, the people should not stay there and take this stuff, because if they've been deceived for 40 years and all of those money, they could have been getting a dividend from day one, and they gave a dividend. They gave a dividend before, since they got in. Yes, they gave a dividend. But that dividend should be coming continually from day one, based on the amount of money that they've been raking in. The people them should not sit there and allow them to roll this dividend back, because all of those monies, bro, is just going straight to the politicians, the agents, and the lawyers and them for 40 years. It's not getting to the people, and the country is not developed like how it's supposed to be. And if the people sit there and allow them to roll this dividend back, then they're going to pull everything back. The only satisfaction the people are going to have, bro, is if this CBI program gets shut down totally. And when I listen to Dr. Drew in the parliament speech that he gave, he is outlining the amount of total passports that the other prime ministers can sign off on, but he's not highlighting how much he signed off on.
Okay, Burl, I got to take...
Yeah, real quickly, before you go, if the total amount of passport is such a big concern to him, then the program should be halted. But the people need to get out there and protest, man. It's the only way, man. Trust me on that. Yeah, have a good day, man. Thanks.
Okay. On to the next caller. Go right ahead. Island T.
Oh, thank you, man. Let me turn down this here, man. Good morning, the three great.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. First of all, three guys, we ain't gonna get too far listening to Greg. Morning, Greg. Because he lengthening his time more and more, chatting his nonsense. He saying all what he said does be nonsense. Some does be sense. Well, I want to ask Greg a question. Everything, if it is not done the Bible way, it is not good. Now, a company that owns a rum distillery that make all kind of alcoholic beverage, does the Bible say a Christian could drink the products from that factory? Because I have known Christians who drink the brandy regularly, not one drink every time the moon turn blue. They drink the brandy every night and the Guinness, and they tell pastors of church that they don't drink the brandy and the Guinness. The Bible say that? If the Bible ain't say that, well, who doing it? They're wrong.
But I think the Bible. I think the Bible says. I think from what I was taught.
Talk about wine.
No, but alcohol. But the Bible says all it says is don't drink to the point where you're down in the drain drunk.
Even if you drink water and you drink too much, you sin. Overdo is the problem.
That's correct.
Everything must have a limit.
Yes.
Now let me say this here with this man, Mr. Joe. From the inception of he taking the position there, Mr. Joe been lying to the listeners. Every time he open his mouth and he faced with a question, a straight answer question, he bob and weaving and finding all kind of lies to satisfy the journalists. Why should he lie if he's doing what is right? If you're doing what is right, there is a loophole for you to go duck and hide. Come straight. But if you're doing things that are wrong, there's where you're going to hide the answer to the people. Them. So I don't accept a lot of things what he, and when he sends some of them on the radio, go spread the propaganda and the lies, I don't take them on. You hear what my good friend from Connie in Connecticut said this morning? Every week, social security people are coming on and telling us how good the social security is. And then now, they are now coming with something else about some. So who lying? Who fooling who? Who fooling who? And I believe that the social security, it has problems, and they're telling the people they must go up on the radio and make it sound like it's so good. I believe that way. Because Dr. Joe been telling lies every minute. Look, he say, the farm administration has done nothing in 7 years to the country. And that is a blatantly lie. Even who ain't watching could see a lot of things has been done. So why they must tell people lies? Stop it, man. Anyway, you guys have a good day.
Okay, same to you. Okay, let's take a break. Hear from Rams. It's 9:32.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Okay, I have some good news here for the cricket lovers. Jermaine just sent me something. Apparently, Mikhail is having his first game tomorrow. So Jermaine was kind enough to send us a little clip. So I'm gonna play that now. So you guys wanna hear that?
Yeah, I see. He met the king too.
Yeah.
So he's doing great things.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he met the king.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, we have 11. Mikel Louis was make his debut in this test match. 5 batsmen. 3 will be Kurt McKenzie. 4, Ali Antonis. 5, Kavim Hodge, the all-rounder. Jason Hood will be at 6. Joshua the Silva, the keeper, at 7. Then we have 1 spinner, Gudakesh Morty. Then 3 fast bowlers, Jaden Seals, Azari Joseph, and Shamar Joseph.
Cool. So, I saw the picture. I don't know what he looks like. So, I remember when I saw the picture with.
We don't know who looks like.
Mikhail.
No,
so I was.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so I was thinking when I saw the picture with them with the king, I was like, there's no point in me even going a look because I don't know who is who. I don't know, no.
There was a picture out just
social
recently
media.
with him and his brother.
Oh no, I never.
The
saw.
Honorable Dr. Douglas had that picture.
I'm not really a Facebook fan. So
Yeah,
I'm
now
more.
I realize.
Yeah, I'm more Twitter.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was like, look, big things. He's going places. That's good. I'm happy for him.
Yeah. Well, there's another story I wanted to bring to you guys' attention. I think Azard might find this interesting.
Which one is
In
it?
Dominica, let me see. There's a call for election bribery to be punished by jail time. Why is it I'm not finding it now? I had it open here. Where is it? What is going on? Okay, so where is it? Yeah, so Dominica, they want. I had this. Listen, I've had this open here for like an hour, and then now that I want it, I can't find it. Yeah. Okay, let me look for Dominica.
Yes.
They were saying they wanted it to be punished by as much as 2 years in prison, and I thought that might
That's little. You're gonna give the smaller man so many more years. Why are we giving the politicians or whomever such little time?
But I hope that means the politicians.
Unfair.
Oh, here it is. Okay, found it. So the ERC, so I'm assuming that the Electoral Reform Commission is calling for a jail term of no less than 2 years for anyone convicted of bribery or treating in order to secure the vote of anyone during a general election in Dominica. The ERC on Sunday called for the implementation of recommendations that it claimed have been omitted from draft legislation the government has released as it moves ahead with its efforts to bring to Parliament before year-end proposed electoral modernization legislation as part of the electoral reform process in Dominica. In June last year, the former president of the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice, Sir Dennis Byron, submitted a report on electoral reform to the Dominica government. So Dennis had been the sole commissioner advancing the efforts towards electoral reform, a major issue here with the opposition parties, the United Workers' Party and the Dominica Freedom Party, boycotting the last general election. The boycott led to the ruling Dominica Labour Party securing 19 of the 21 seats, with the remainder going to independent candidates. So okay, let me read this. With respect to the offense of bribery, this is Dennis Byron now, it must provide for the avoidance of doubt that the payment or promise to pay to a voter or his traveling expenses on the condition expressed or implied that he will vote for a particular candidate is bribery. And here must be a compulsory prison term of not less than 2 years for bribery, treating, and undue influence campaign finance regulation. Sorry, this is Pastor Randy Rodney. He's the an executive member of the ERC. One of the best pieces of law that Dennis Byron wrote. We want that back. We want to know where the money come from and who gave you the money, because we understand that people buying election those days to get what they want. We recommend provisions to strictly prohibit public officers, the resources of the state, and projects resulting from the expenditure of public funds as campaign tools to corruptly, improperly, and unduly influence voters and thereby gain political advantage. The religious leader said also there should be access to the public funded media in Dominica by all political parties and independent candidates contesting an election. The House of Assembly election bill must provide for access to all media for all political parties, and that all public media houses, print, radio, television, digital, and electronic, are prohibited from denying any political party or candidate paid time and or space for the broadcast or publication of their messages. Interesting, huh? I think I read just about a third of it. It's pretty long, so you can find it on loop. You saw it? Azard?
I hear trying to look for it, but me see it on loop on this.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I know that Dominica has had cases about treating whereby persons are influenced to vote a certain way based on compensation or otherwise. They've had matters in Dominica in relation to that. So it comes as no surprise that, they're probably looking at legislation to, frame that.
I feel like laws like
codify.
that, especially here, will never really be enforced, because a lot of that goes on here and everywhere,
Yeah. Because then you could have the law and it has to be enforced too. It ought to be enforced. The enforcement of the law is just as important as the law.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, I've had people tell me they see people give people envelope during an election, give people fat envelopes full of money. I'm like, what?
But you see, too, it's encouraged.
But people take advantage of that time, too, because they take what they can get.
The electorate, too, you go out there and a lot of persons asking you, what are you willing to give me? You understand? What terrible. Are you giving me? No, but you have that reality as well. So You talk about the persons who are seeking elected office, but there are persons
seek it fairly. Stop giving away your money.
So there are persons too who encourage that, who are seeking to be elected, but there are persons on the ground too. When persons come in genuine interest, would be asking, well, were you willing to give?
I don't know if you guys realize what it says about Dominica, that you have a whole general election and two parties sit out the election. What does that say about about how bad it is there?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
They don't have money to give away.
Could you imagine? Yeah,
that's what they're saying, champs. The plain and simple. We're not like the big dogs. We don't have it.
Could you? Yeah, could
and
you
nobody's
imagine?
gonna support us because we have nothing to give to them. Because it's I give you something, you give me something. World.
Imagine we have a general election and everybody except the Labour Party sits out the election. Could you imagine that? That's crazy to me.
That would be crazy.
It says it shows, and you're right, because I mean, we've always been told Dominica is a poor country, and I could imagine it's probably a case where they can't find the donors that are going to make it worth their while to run. And you're running against the Dominica Labour Party machine.
That has all the money.
Exactly.
And the promises. You vote for me, I give you a house. You vote for me, you get a stove.
Island T, go right ahead.
Good morning.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Hello. Where the CBI program is concerned, okay, don't you all think, like how Dr. Joe has been the only one who has been paying out the dividend from the same-day passport, don't you all think when he between the other leaders that they're discouraging him because he making them look bad?
I mean the other leaders.
I just wonder because only he want to do it. And when the people look at it, the people gonna say, well, how come Dr. Drew doing it and you all ain't doing it?
Gregory.
So I think maybe they have been also.
So you're suggesting, because of course you don't know, you think you're suggesting that Dr. Drew would be swayed if it is that somebody from the other country other person from the country telling him that Wysings and Nevis is doing all of this and we can't do it?
Making us look bad.
Another call. Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, good morning. You see, the problem is, like you talk about people asking, what you going to do for me? What am I going to get if I vote for you? You see, that problem can be solvable if when people in government, they use the money. Let's take, for example, this money that we're talking about, this dividend, the crumb that was promised to the people that now they cannot get. Instead of promising crumbs to the people, develop the country so everybody will be employed. People will be able to sustain themselves, and I won't have to beg you for little things for a vote. Because if the country is developed, there is jobs. I can work and I can buy my house and I can do this and do that for myself. But no, as we really think, right, what do we have to show for all the years we sell our passport, all this money, all this pouring in the money that we have, an abundance? What do you think it have to show for it?
Yep. Yeah.
Can anybody on the panel tell me?
Okay.
Name one thing that we can actually go outside in the street of Finkis and say we developed that from this money. That's going to benefit
cruise pair,
people in the long run.
Maybe the cruise pair.
Okay. So,
just maybe the cruise pair. I would want to think, because I heard someone speaking about the cruise pair.
Okay.
Maybe that's one.
Trying to lasso these calls.
And I'm looking at this, right? Now that some countries are putting out how much money they're making in the CBI, with hurricanes and stuff hitting them, do you think that the bigger countries will want to help, saying that they have so much money in their purse? Why they don't use their CBI money to fix back their countries?
Well, the British government. Oh man, Mr. Starmer isn't holding up.
Hello?
Go ahead. Hi, caller.
Yeah, I think we got cut off.
No. I was trying to take another call. That's why. Yeah. And
okay. Okay. Go back to the development, right? I was talking to somebody yesterday, right? I was talking to an elderly Jamaican yesterday, and I was talking about when we were small, and I asked them, have you ever picked salt? They said no. So I said, when we were in my country, we used to pick salt. You know what the old man said to me? I mean, do y'all have a salt manufacturing company down there?
Wow.
I said, no, we don't, because the government did not see, they had no vision to see that God gave us a sustainable, tangible thing in our hand that we could have used to benefit the whole country and the world. Instead, government destroyed the salt pan.
Wow.
So you see, without vision, people really perishing,
Yep.
and I'm so sorry for the people, but may God help us all.
But to be fair, to be fair, we wouldn't have had enough salt to really make it worth the while. That's a salt we'd have to sell it at premium prices to make it, because the salt ponds are not that big, you know. If, let's say we were doing
but do
that.
you think they could have make them bigger so that it could have been beneficial to the country?
Nah, not right, because then you would have been taking away land from the Southeast Peninsula.
Okay. Just asking a question.
Yeah, but yeah, good question. Caller, go right ahead.
Yes. Do you realize that there are two subjects that seem to be taboo now that elections have gone? Constitutional reform and campaign financing.
Yeah.
Nobody, none of the parties, neither government or opposition, seem interested in those two things anymore. And both are essential for the preservation of our democracy. Right? I think there's a general acceptance that money can win elections. Right? I mean, it comes straight from the top. Right? Everybody, from the top to the bottom, money wins elections. And once you have that in play, it almost seems like, well, whoever gets the most money, the most donors, the most money, is going to automatically win the election. And that is a sad place to be in, right? I mean, we might as well say, okay, the parties, whichever win the most, whichever get the most money, you go into office, right? And then turn over the money to the state, or the rest of it to the state, and rather than go about with all these expensive election campaigns and so on, you know? Sure, get your donors and so on, but whoever collects the most money, that they automatically get proportional seats, okay? Because, I mean, if you're going to have the system corrupted by money, what's the point? Okay, and by the way, you noticed in the UK elections, one of the things that came to the fore after was proportionate representation. They're actually talking about that, right? So we don't have to be wedded to our British inheritance insofar as the parliamentary system is concerned. We can carve out our own, but nobody is looking at things like that. And so I guess the same old will obtain for the next God knows how long, right? With all its imperfections and so on. And nobody is going to do anything about it, because when you win, you don't want to change a system that helped you to win, okay? And similarly, when you're out of power, you can rail all you want against it, but once you get in, that's it. You just perpetuate the same thing. So I don't know that we're going to actually get any change in that regard. It would be good if the state can actually fund campaigns. It's done in some countries up to a certain level, right? And that parties declare how much and where the source of funds are coming from. Right, if you have major donations, the small stuff, little $10 and $20 and so on, that's fine. But the big stuff, you can bet your life there are strings that are behind that. Okay, so those are things that we could actually employ, but like I said, the impetus, the appetite isn't there for that, unfortunately.
And the funny about that Dominica issue, you don't get the impression this legislation, is it going to affect the people who pay out the money as well as the people who receive the money? That's the other thing. Because the politicians and aspiring politicians need to be punished as well.
The aspiring ones?
Well, meaning if you know.
So what effect would you say it has on donors? Can you tell somebody where to put their money? I mean, that might be a constitutional issue in itself. If you want to support a particular party or candidate.
Oh, I mean, there's a delineation between, let's say, funding political rallies versus giving people fridges and wallets. I mean, and envelopes fat with cash, right? I mean, the donors give you money. You're expected. You're going to do political ads.
In terms of scale, if the intention is the same, what exactly is the difference?
So you're saying there's a thin line between bribery and the other stuff that
there's a thin line between you actually giving individuals wads of cash and you, for instance, paying for some big artists to come in and perform for a whole lot of people, right? I mean, you don't give them the cash directly, but both are the same, and you're trying to influence their voting patterns.
Azard, thoughts?
Well, we've had discussions about campaign financing legislation. I mean, at the end of the day, I always think that the electorate would determine who represents them. And I think the fairer the process, the better. I think the more transparent the process, the better. Because at times, as you said, persons are persuaded by one party being able to outdo financially the other. And it takes away from the issue-based discussion and more on to the me discussion. What can I get?
So that's a nice political answer, but how do you achieve that?
Again, as we spoke about it, and as we've spoken about it, we could have campaign financing rules and regulation whereby it's a transparent process. At the end of the day, right, Mr. McMahon, how I see government as is that it's the people's purse, and it ought to be ran as transparent as possible. For me personally, I have no intention not to be transparent if in that position, because at the end of the day, I don't see it as my money. I see it as the people's money. I see it as the people's business. And I see it as an opportunity to be frank and clear with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis as to the governance of the country, as clear and as transparent as possible. So when it comes
to it's down to the personalities who we elect. You may say that, but if the others don't agree, the old saying, you fight fire with fire. What do you do? Do you maintain the moral high ground, or do you say, well, everybody is doing it, that's what it takes to win, therefore I'm going to do it too?
What I could say from my party standpoint, and especially the persons who I am around in terms of the party, and especially those persons who are eager and willing to be a part of the process, we believe in transparency. And so I think you ought to align yourself with persons who also believe in the values that you have as well. If it is that your values no longer align with a particular party or set of individuals who are there within a party, that's when I think maybe you should go elsewhere.
Of course, that people are going to say you're naive in that respect.
Well,
I mean, that's what they're going to tell you, man, you don't know how politics work. Right?
And so when persons make statements like those, Mr. McMahon, they encourage the same thing that they are complaining. You understand? So they complain about politicians who are dishonest. They complain about politicians who aren't transparent. But then when the opportunity comes where persons are talking about transparency, persons are talking about difference, persons are talking about something that should be done, they say that, okay, and they use that line that you're naive. They're actually encouraging the same thing that they want to get away from.
So I would suggest to you what it takes to actually change the dynamic is for somebody, some visionary somewhere, to go in and say, sure, I might just have one term, but I'm going to change things for the benefit of the future, or of future generations, and really clean up the system, because there is the tendency to just go with the flow because it works, because you got into office using it, and so you perpetuate it. I think that's what it's going to take. Somebody, maybe Azard, don't know, because I mean we all know when you're out of office, you say one thing, but once it
And you
gets
see
into
all the
office, it's
wrong.
another thing
You
altogether.
see all the wrong, and then when you get in, everything is perfect.
Well, it'll be quite interesting because, you know, all of these discussions are taped there on social media.
Jam can we hold as accountable?
For me to say
Well.
one thing and then, if given the opportunity to serve, do another, because I'm here practically almost every day.
Azard, they're gonna get you.
You understand?
They're gonna get you.
You could easily get a clip.
The internet never forgets.
Never forget.
Reminding you.
Yes.
Okay, Azard.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see in a few years' time how things go.
Yeah, it might be sooner rather than later.
Ooh.
Here watching
Okay.
how
Something
things
we
go.
don't?
I'm just teasing.
Voila. Mr. McMahon, you heard it here first.
Oh my God.
I'm not. We take light of we take light moments sometimes when we discuss even serious matters.
Because and two, it's funny that Miss McMahon mentioned what you mentioned, because I'm here on Facebook and I saw Chevrich, our very own Chevrich. She had a post. She said, "Wish as a country we would model ourselves off of other countries like Taiwan, Switzerland, Japan, Singapore, etc., instead of just America. We would be
Or
a
even
lot
Canada,
further."
because they have a very highly regulated electoral system.
Oh.
Call, go right ahead.
Yeah, okay. Jamso and the other two greats. Our sister from Connecticut, Sissy, she was right when they talk about the salt pan. In St. Kitts, we got about 6 of them. The first one over there by TVC Masonry, that's the first one they kill. And then the second one is around there by Radio Paradise to the east of Canary.
Yeah.
And then the third one is in Frigate Bay. And then you go over Timothy Hill. There's one when you turn right, you go in by the beach and you go way down left, one behind in the bushes there.
Okay.
And then you got one way out on the southeast peninsula, another small one. And then you had the big, great the map of St. Kitts. That used to produce so much salt that every mom and pop shop, you go around the island and you see them got the salt and the counter there ready to sell.
Yeah, I remember that.
We could have done something with our salt. Little by little, we will come to plenty.
Yeah.
But like she said, they never had the vision about that. And I always think about that. We have to use what we got. Some people got oil, some got gold, some got all kind of thing. God give us the salt and the wisdom to use it. Now look, we got to be buying, people got to be buying imported salt from out there. You can't stand up as long as our rock salt.
Yeah.
Because you put down the salt, one of those containers with salt, and you don't use it for a certain time, you look, the bottom start to swell. And then the way it sit down, it get wet.
Yeah.
But our rock salt never produce no water yet. And that is one thing ants don't go in.
Salt, for real.
So we had something and we tried with.
Yep.
Okay.
No.
Good program.
Thank you.
And on that note.
Wait, I have to finish Chef's quote.
Oh.
And I will include your Canada. So which is a country we would model ourselves off of other countries like Taiwan, Switzerland, Japan, Singapore. And as James said, Canada, instead of just America, we would be a lot further. We need to explore new countries and new ways of doing things. This old American dream that our grandparents had is out of style and has cost us lots in terms of infrastructure, crime, education, and even the health of our country. In this new era, we need a new vision. And it's funny enough that everybody's talking about vision, and we know where there is no vision, the people perish. So I am going to admonish our leaders, Azard and everyone else that intends to lead the country to please have a vision, sell us something good. And us as a people that now understand that we have the power to select whomever we want over in Church Street, let us, dig deep, listen, hold these persons accountable so that we can ensure that the country is in a better developed state, not only for ourselves and not just get what we can get, but think of the children that we are producing and the future that our country could be in.
Indeed, as you talk about that, I think about so many our connection with Taiwan. We have officials traveling to Taiwan. We have our government ministers, they travel to Taiwan constantly. And Chev, she listed a number of countries, Taiwan being one of them. And if you're traveling so much to these countries and we have diplomatic relations, of course, it's an opportunity for us, because it's not for lack of knowledge or what I want to say, lack of experience, because they have been to these countries. They traveled just, I think, last month.
Do you know what the bald truth is?
What's that?
They're only interested in Taiwan's money, not Taiwan's example.
So,
especially in terms of the things we can learn from them as a nation, they're only interested in their money. I'm just gonna say. So when I saw that comment, because I saw her make that comment, I thought to myself, well, we have leaders who travel there all the time. We had leaders who went there just last month. What are they coming back with and telling the people of St. Kitts and Nevis we can do? In terms
Not
of
even telling us, but what are we coming back to implement that the people will see and be like, yeah, the government is doing something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was told one time that Arthur Lewis, the Nobel Prize winning economist from St. Lucia. I was told that the Singapore's economic success was based on his principles, his economic principles.
So they do take tidbits from us here in the Caribbean.
Well, the guy was a great economist. He wouldn't have gotten a Nobel Prize if. And so I was told that the economic miracle of Singapore was based on his writings.
Wow.
And what are we doing? We probably don't rate him like that. I don't know.
Then when you look at
we don't even look at our own, as she said. Everything we look for is up north. She's correct.
Yeah.
We emulate up north, we dress up north, we talk up north, we do everything up north. Yeah.
But then our people to gravitate
to up north
as well.
Sad.
Yeah, our people.
Yeah. But that is a dream that we're sold. As she said, get rid of the grandparents' ideology, the grandparents' dream, get your own. Look at other countries.
Interesting discussion. We could have a whole.
we need to get the money. We definitely need to get the money out of campaigning. Adapt the Canadian model. The government gives each party an equals all the parties an equal sum of money. Make that work. Have debates, and those should be mandatory. Debate should be mandatory.
Now you're talking about Canada. I did a course with one of the university, was parliamentary governance, myself and Natasha from the People's Action Movement. And while in discussion, they were talking about persons who work in the office. So you have staff. So, a lot of time when you're campaigning, when I say campaigning, when you're going house to house and doing constituency stuff, it's basically voluntary. You understand? You have a political party, you're a supporter of the political party, you meet in your constituency group, and it's voluntary. You do the work voluntary. But finance is actually given to those persons in those countries to actually run offices. So you run a whole office and you have your staff and everything like that. And so you have a greater support from the state, because the state itself is encouraging. So as Jamso talk about all of that, we could perhaps look at that model and see how best it could help us. Even when you look at the constituency allowance given to ministers, it's really small in terms of what they can do. The only thing, if it increases, we need to
checks and balances.
Where's the money going to? So when you're giving money,
make sure AJ doesn't spend it on the latest iPhone.
that could never happen. I don't even have the latest. So checks and balances. So if you expect more, if we give you more, you have to have that check and balance. You understand? So if your constituency allowance or everybody is given, let's say $20,000 to develop, have the check and balance where you have somebody independent. This is how the money was spent. I used this. I went to there. You must have that thing. We need to be think it is too small not to be as transparent as we could be.
Yes,
it's
for
really
real.
Small. Things and Eve is very small.
And we really need to look at some much more far-reaching what's the word? Reforms in terms of constitution and otherwise, because I'm gonna die on this hill. We're 52 million. I mean 52,000 people.
Yeah.
We should not have two levels of government. I'm sorry.
And
we should not have two assemblies. We should not have two tourism authorities. We should not have two ministries of education. This is ridiculous. That needs to change.
Yeah, if you're a federation, everything one.
The parties need to be national parties that run on both. We could have the 5 parties, but everyone should be running candidates on both islands.
I was thinking about even the model, like you have the republic model and we have a president.
Yeah, and that's part of that whole thing.
I was even thinking, look at France. You have your presidential election and then you have your
legislative election separately.
So that model whereby you have your president and then you have
Chef Rich, look what you created, girl.
You better create my waffles. And don't let us fall out. Chef Rich, I love you.
Chef Rich, give him those waffles if you can, because you talk about it.
Okay, we gotta leave it there.
Yeah.
We had licks first now. Yeah. So, see you guys tomorrow.
Have a fab day, gentlemen.
But I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is a nice substantive discussion. I don't think anybody can argue, right?
Yeah.
And we have to continue this for sure.
Exactly.
Indeed. Have a great day, folks.
Great
Bye.
Day. Wonderful day to everyone.